It's always great to take a spin around Los Angeles sports-wise with Bill Plaschke, LA Times columnist, and, of course, one of the stars of ESPN's Around the Horn. Let me start with the Chargers, Bill. They got their franchise quarterback.
Woohoo! Woohoo!
Do they have their coach?
No. He iced his own kicker last night. No, they need it. Anthony Lynn's a great guy, and everybody in town loves him. But it's time for a new voice, a new fresh look, a new take on things, and they need somebody to coach this young quarterback because this kid's a star. Herbert's a star, and in this town, that means a ton. And last night, he proved what he can do. He's gonna, behind him, this team could become actually an LA team, which is the first time I've ever said that.
But then you have the Rams, the best team in town, and they've kind of been under the radar, it feels like, because this wasn't the Sean McVay, Jared Goff offense, high-powered quarterback whisperer. They've been leading with their defense here in their running game. How dangerous do you think the Rams will be come playoff time?
Well, I think the Rams can go to the Super Bowl. I mean, you look at the NFC and what else is out there, unless, of course, I heard Drew Brees is coming back. But if Brees is not healthy and Green Bay's defense is suspect, the Rams can go to the Super Bowl. But they're just – again, this is a town of stars. He's more of a game manager now, and that's working for them. And Cam Akers is great at running back. That's a revelation. But, they don't have the star. You never see his face. That's why Justin Herbert, that was such a big deal last night. And it's such a big deal to have them in the new stadium. It's such a big deal. This is the best coaching. They're going to get rid of Anthony Lynn. This will be the best coaching vacancy in the NFL.
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, you have your franchise quarterback, and that's what all of these coaches are looking for. You want that guy, got a rookie contract here, and then you can build around him. And they do have talent on that. It's not like Joe Burrow going to the Bengals. Justin Herbert went to a Charger team that has just underachieved and always had injuries.
They have great defense. They have great young talent. They got a great quarterback. They have all the ingredients to contend. Of course, they're in a bad division, and that's going to be tough. But I just think it's a real plum job for someone. How about Jim Harbaugh? Get Jim Harbaugh back in the NFL. I'm serious. Everybody laughs about that. He was a pretty good NFL coach. He's got a lot of LA, San Diego roots. Bring him back.
Yeah. Look, it's not far-fetched. I mean, I even brought up, if it doesn't work out at Michigan, just have him go to the Detroit Lions, just keep him in state there. But, I think he'll eventually go back to the NFL. But I don't think he's ready to go now. I want to ask you about the Clippers situation because this is one of those, wait a minute, what happened? And Jerry West involved in this, and you have somebody saying that Jerry promised a payoff of, $2.5 million to deliver Kawhi Leonard to the Clippers. Why is this coming out now? And is there any validity to it? I know the NBA is investigating.
Well, it's coming out now because the guy filed a lawsuit against Jerry and the Clippers, and the Jerry West ought to countersue the guy for fraud. Because Kawhi Leonard hasn't been worth the effort that they put into getting him so far. He's got a lot more to prove out here. No, I mean, you pay $2.5 million to sway a guy to come to your team and you don't get out of the second round again? Come on. But I just think I'm back in the logo. I can't imagine that the logo would need one of the greatest executives, the greatest executive of all time in the NBA, if you ask me, would need help in trying to recruit a player. I can't imagine that. I heard the Clippers did a lot of things to try to recruit Kawhi. I can't imagine they would do something like that. But even that, so what's the NBA going to do? Find them draft picks? They don't have any draft picks. $10 million? Ballmer's got that much in his sofa cushions. I just think this is going to be quickly become a non-story. And if it does become a story, I'm backing the logo on this. I've always got the logos back.
Yeah, he's one of my idols. I think that's why I took note of the story because, we always look at Jerry. Jerry gets his man when he wants him and to get Kawhi Leonard. And that's why when you had somebody saying, hey, he promised me $2.5 million to deliver Kawhi Leonard. I
can't imagine that. I just can't imagine. And some of the stuff the guy was saying the advice he was giving Jerry was tell Kawhi you want him. Tell Kawhi the Clippers are going to be good. I don't think that's advice. That's advice Jerry really needed. So I think this is a much ado about nothing, and it's a dumb rule anyway. Do you agree it's a dumb rule? This intermediary thing, everybody does that when they try to get jobs for other people. Everybody recruits everybody like that.
Yeah, it's.
I don't think it's a stupid rule.
college is littered with guys who do this, and that's their living. The Lakers situation, how much better are they going to be this season than last season?
I can't believe I'm going to say this. They're going to be better. They're going to be a lot better. I mean, they're deeper. They're better, going to be better defensively. I mean, I don't see anybody challenging them at all. And the Clippers, I think they're going to be worse than last year. And I think that this whole chemistry thing really came up and bit them, and it's all been exposed now. And I think the Clippers are going to be worse. The Lakers are going to be better. I mean, and then this Horton Tucker kid has been a real revelation there. Watch for him, and better defensively. I don't know how they did it. I don't know how Rob Pelinka did it. I've criticized him so much in the past, and he actually made a championship team better.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think just that, guys who maybe want to play with LeBron knowing that they got a chance to win a championship here, and you get to play in Los Angeles, you get to play for the Lakers here. Schroeder, they get younger.
Gasol, they get better defensively.
Yeah, and he's a good passer, and he can be outside and allow Anthony Davis to kind of have roam the floor. You get rid of playoff Rondo. We only miss him when the playoffs take place during the regular season. Yeah, not as important, but yeah, I think that there's if I'm handicapping here, I think if Golden State had stayed together, Bill, I really believe that they would be right there with the Lakers as the two teams to beat. If you have Draymond, Steph, you get Wiseman as your number one pick, and Klay Thompson. I mean, that's still a formidable lineup here. Yeah,
but the Anthony Davis and LeBron James, they play together. And I've written, I don't think LeBron should play at all until like April. I mean, I think he's wiped out. He was upset at the short break the NBA took. And I think fans shouldn't be surprised to see him. He's ripped load management in the past. He's going to be all about load management this year, and he should be.
Yeah, but how do you do it, though, Bill? How do you do it where the NBA is – I mean, you're just going to pay fines?
Yes, because it's all about championships. And that's all the fans care about out here. That's all the Lakers care about. Absolutely, you pay fines. You give LeBron – heck, give him a month off. I don't care, and I don't think the fans care. I think with one thing, there's going to be no fans in the stands, so nobody's going to hold up a ticket and say, "I paid to see LeBron James, and he's not showing up today." This is a perfect year for that. He's obviously, I mean, you saw what his comments were when he found out that the NBA was going to come back December 22nd. He said, "Oh, bleep."
Yeah.
That's indicative of his body and how worn down he is and how worn down he can be. And I think the Lakers need this team and Anthony ready for spring, and I think that's what they're going to be leading toward. And I don't think anybody is going to complain about that out here.
Yeah, but you know how LeBron is. He's got rabbit ears. He hears everything. He's sensitive about this. If somebody's going to say, "Hey, you've criticized these other guys with load management, and now you're doing the same thing."
Well, the reason he's criticized him, Dan, though, he's always criticized him because he said, if somebody's in the stands who's the first time they're going to see me play, I want to play for them. That's always been the basis of his criticism. There is no more basis for that because all the seats will be empty. So I think he's got his out, and I support him on that.
I said we're not armchair quarterbacks. We're armchair ophthalmologists this weekend in college football, like the eye test with Ohio State. If USC had been relevant the last couple of years, Bill, and been undefeated, would the committee be looking at, would there be an eye test involved with USC tonight against Oregon?
Absolutely, Dan. They're if they hadn't gone into this season, gone 13-13 in the last 26 games, having lost 2 bowl games to Big Ten opponents badly, they started the year 18th in the CFP poll. That's ridiculous. I mean, how can it? And again, I know Cincinnati's got a point, and I understand all that, but how can a team, if USC wins tonight, an undefeated Power 5 conference champion, not getting into CFP playoffs? It's the first time that's ever happened, and it's totally based on the fact that their recency bias and the fact that the Pac-12 is so terrible and all has such a terrible TV deal and nobody sees them, and the conference is not very deep, and so they're being held back by 2 things, and neither of them is their fault. They belong. If they win tonight, how do you keep a 6-0 USC team out of the playoffs?
They're not relevant. They haven't been relevant, Bill. And
I know, and that's not fair. That's and again, I don't understand. Cincinnati's got a point too. USC would clock Cincinnati in a game. USC deserves to be any more than Ohio State does. What's Ohio State done?
But they have the
They gave her
history
490
here.
yards to Indiana.
But they have a history here, recent history of being great. And they have a quarterback that everybody knows. They got, future first-round draft picks. There's talent there.
Yeah,
I understand they haven't, their signature win was Indiana in Columbus, and they held on to win that one. And now they
490 yards they gave up, yeah.
Yeah, but the system is flawed, but I don't know if anybody is going to rectify this anytime soon. It feels like this is what the TV executives want. That is, give us the teams that people will watch. How
can they not want to watch USC, Dan? And you know that. They're as excited as anybody. 3 fourth quarter comebacks in the last minute in the 5 games, and they're holding that against them. I think it's ridiculous.
Well, they got to blow somebody out, though, Bill. That's the reason why they had these fourth quarter comebacks is they're not putting away sub 500 teams here.
But they're winning games. The bottom line is they're winning games, Dan. They're unbeaten. They're 6-0. An undefeated USC team is not going to get in the playoffs, and that's ridiculous. And you tell me if Clemson loses to Notre Dame, Clemson gets in. Are you kidding me? I mean, that would have been USC's path to get in. They're not going to get in ahead of Ohio State. But if Clemson loses, and if you're going to put a 2-loss Clemson team in there, a 2-loss Florida team in there, a 2-loss Iowa State team, to an undefeated Pac-12 champion,
you're fired up here. You're fired up.
Well, the Pac-12 is bad, and I understand it's terrible. It's bad, and they need a new commissioner, and they need a new look, and they need a new everything. But nonetheless, undefeated. And have you seen him play at all? Have you stayed up at night and watched him on the Nickelodeon or whatever channel?
Don't do this East Coast bias. You guys don't stay up. I have 2 kids who went to USC. Half my family went to USC. Yes, I watch.
Yeah, well, my point is, again, they're on Nickelodeon or the Comedy Channel. They're not on regular television.
Oh no, it's hard to find them, but
it's hard to find them.
Yeah.
I just think it's wrong, and I think and when that one commissioner said go back to the BCS makes more sense than this to me. It honestly does.
Yeah.
It honestly does. They could have picked these 4 teams at the start of the season.
Yes.
This is a coordination.
Yes. You could have had, and at the beginning of the year, when we were talking about the Final Four, I said Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, and then I put in Oklahoma. So, I could have easily.
So there's one spot up for grabs, probably.
Yes. And that was, so it happened to be Notre Dame. It could have been Oklahoma, one other school in there. There's about 7 or 8 schools that can play for a national championship.
But just remember, they'll be the first. If they win, they'll be the first unbeaten team in the CFP era, unbeaten Power 5 conference champion, not to be in the Final Four. That's history. That's the wrong side of history.
They better win tonight, Bill.
Yeah, they better win it. Yeah. There's that.
Yeah, there's always that possibility they lose to Oregon.
That, yeah.
Oh, boy. I'm glad you're doing better. It's great to talk to you. We appreciate your time as always, Bill. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dan. Anytime.
That's Bill Plaschke, LA Times columnist and ESPN Around the Horn contributor.